Alright, so let's take a look at lesson 3.5. Lesson 3.5 is all about graphing a x minus p x minus q. Okay, so let's take a look at a question that deals with this. So let's say that a is negative 4 and x minus p is part of it, says x plus 1. Okay, and this x minus q part of it says x minus 5. Okay, so to find, the first thing we need to do is find the x-intercepts. So to find the x-intercepts, what we have to do is set this equal to 0 and this equal to 0. So x plus 1 is equal to 0 and x minus 5 is equal to 0. Okay, what we'll find is that x equals negative 1 and x equals 5. Okay, now we need to write these as ordered pairs. So negative 1 comma 0 is one x-intercept, and 5 comma 0 is another x-intercept. Okay, to find the axis of symmetry when your form looks like this, what we have to do is we have to take the one of the x values and the other x value, add them up, and then divide it by 2. So it's going to look like this: negative 1 plus 5 divided by 2. Negative 1 plus 5 is 4, so we divide 4 by 2 and we get 2. So the axis of symmetry is at 2. Okay, once you've found the x value, we can find the y value. And if we know that this function is what y is equal to, we can just plug in the 2 into this function right here. So y is equal to negative 4 times x plus 1, so 2 plus 1, and then x minus 5, so x is 2, so 2 minus 5. Okay, so 2 plus 1 is 3, so negative 4 times 3, and 2 minus 5 is negative 3. So negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. Negative 12 times negative 3 is positive 36. So we get a y of positive 36. So our vertex is 2, comma 36. Okay. Now we need to graph this, and I'll do it right here. Okay. So if we know that one of the x-intercepts is negative 1 and one of the x-intercepts is 5, and the vertex is 2, comma 36, that's pretty much way up here, we just have to draw a smooth curve through that. Okay, something that looks like that. That's a rough sketch, and we'll look at that later. Okay, so this is all that you have to do. All right, let's go and take a look at a similar question. Okay, so a similar question would look like x plus 2. Let's say we had 3, x plus 2, x minus 3. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is set this equal to 0 and this equal to 0 to find our x-intercepts. So x plus 2 equals 0 and x minus 3 is equal to 0. So this would be x equals negative 2 when we subtract 2 to the other side. This would be x equals 3 because we have to add 3 to the other side. Okay, so this is negative 2, 0, and this is 3, 0. So we found our x-intercepts for our graph. Okay, now that we found our x-intercepts, we need to find the axis of symmetry. Okay, so the axis of symmetry, when our equation looks like this, is that we have to add the x-intercepts values, negative 2 and 3, and then we have to divide it by 2. Okay, so negative 2 plus 3 is 1, and 1 divided by 2 is half. Okay, 1/2 is good. You can write this as 0.5. Okay, so now that we found that our x is 0.5. To find our y, we know that y is equal to this. Okay, so we'll plug it into the equation. So 3 times 0.5 plus 2 times 0.5 minus 3. Okay, this will be 3. 0.5 plus 2 is 2.5. 0.5 minus 3 is negative 2.5. Okay, so 2.5 times negative 2.5. 2.5 times 2.5 negative, so negative 6.25. This would be 3 times negative 6.25. Okay, and 3 times negative 6.25 is negative 18.75. Okay, so now we found our vertex also. So our vertex is 0.5, negative 18.75. Okay, so graphing this, we know that our x-intercepts are negative 2 and 3. Okay, our axis of symmetry is at x equals 0.5, so that's somewhere right here. Okay, but our vertex is at 0.5, negative 18.75, which we can say is like right down here somewhere, right? This would be negative 18.75 way down here, and this would be like 0.5, right? And because our a is greater than 1, it's gonna be facing upwards like that, and then we have a good answer. Right. If it was negative, if this was a negative 3, note that this would be facing downwards. Okay. Okay. So next, let's take a look at finding zeros of a function. Okay. So if the question says find the zeros of f of x equals x plus 1, or x minus 1, and x plus 2. If the question says find the zeros, what we're going to do is we're going to say is f of x is 0. And we're going to set 0 equal to x minus 1, x plus 2. Okay, so we've looked at this before where we have to set this part equal to 0, so x minus 1 equal to 0, and this part equal to 0, so x plus 2 equal to 0. Okay, so now we know how to solve this. We add 1 to both sides, and we get x equals 1. We subtract 2 from both sides, and we get x equals negative 2. So the zeros of the function are 1 and negative 2. Okay, so now let's take that and let's go a little bit further with it. Okay, so if the question tells us to find the zeros of a function like negative 2x squared minus 10x minus 12, we know that they all have a negative 2 in common, so we'll have to pull that out. And when we do that, this is going to be left with x squared. Negative 10 divided by negative 2 is plus 5x, and negative 12 divided by negative 2 is plus 6. Okay, so factoring this, we want two numbers that multiply to make a times c, which is 1 times 6, and add to make 5. Okay, that's a 5, which is 2 and 3. Okay, so plugging into here, we would put the 1x term into here, so 1x plus 2, and 1x plus 3. Okay, so then when we have something like this, to find the zeros, we can set this equal to 0 and say x plus 2 equals 0 and x plus 3 equals 0. So x is equal to -2 and x is equal to -3.